Welcome to Shadow of Truth, and today is Friday, May the 19th, 2017, and your hosts are Dave Kranzler from InvestmentResearchDynamics.com and Rory Hall from thedailycoin.org. What's going on, Dave?
Not much. I'm just glad it's Friday, trying to live the dream. How about with you?
Living the dream. And I wanted to take care of a little bit of housekeeping before we got into the show, so...
I'll be doing this weekend.
Well, all right. Well,
how about you?
No, I've got a whole series of articles that are coming up, and you got your Short Sellers Journal coming up Sunday, or what?
Published the latest mining stock journal last night, and
okay.
The next Short Seller Journal comes out on Sunday.
Cool. So that's what you're working on?
That's what I'll be working on.
We'll go get to that so you can at least profit from all this nonsense going on. And help your subscribers to profit as well. So,
well, that's the great thing, because even though the S&P and the Dow may be moving higher, it's only a handful of stocks doing it, and there's plenty of stocks that are going down. You just got to find them. Like I recommended Sears about, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks ago. It had spiked up to 12, and now it's trading below 8. I mean, that's a nice rate of return in a month and a half.
Yes, it is.
So, what was on your mind today?
Well, I actually wanted to talk about something a little different in theories versus facts. And I was watching a video earlier today that TruthStream Media put out, and if you're not familiar with their work, you should be, because they put out some incredible work, very, very detailed, very heavily researched, and it just made me think. What the video was about were chemtrails, and they went back through the history of chemtrails back into the 50s, and what sparked them to do this video was a thousands and thousands word article that was put out in the New York Times. And in that article, they basically say chemtrails are real. We are currently going to experiment with the entire planet, but we're gonna target Tucson, Arizona right now, and we're gonna heavily spray them, and we're gonna heavily spray the Gulf jet stream as well. And the very last line of the article was, "We're living in a test already." The whole consensus, and this was put out by some maniac at Harvard University who's not an atmospheric scientist, and they admit that in the article, but he thinks it's a great idea, and he spells it all out, and that's why it's thousands and thousands of words. And it's just amazing that over the years, if you tell people, look at the sky and tell me that those aren't real, that those are contrails and not chemtrails, and people look at you like you are like you have two heads or something. But now everything, it seems, that we have been saying for years and years and years is now coming out into the reality. It's no longer theory, just like with the gold silver manipulation. Now that's no longer theory. That is proven hardcore fact in a court of law. So and it just made me think of all of these different things that we report on all the time that people call us crazy about, when in fact they're not theories at all. It's just that the lies that are spewed from the TV, or the lies that through omission that never come out in the TV, it's a very difficult tool to overcome. That's an incredibly powerful tool that these people use against us. But that's what I wanted to talk about.
Okay. I don't have anything to say on chemtrails. I just know that it's an issue. It's not a conspiracy theory, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I don't worry about it.
Well, I mean, as far as that one aspect, I mean, that's not really what I'm saying. My overall is just the fact that now the CIA has embedded within the mainstream media this meme of fake news, and they're using that against us, and the demonetization of our YouTube channel, the way that Sean, the picture that Sean over at SGT Report, the picture that he painted, that it's not really about the ads, it's really about silencing our voice. And that's the whole thing, is that they know that they're losing grip on the narrative. So the only way that they can keep our facts that they call theories or fake news, the only way that they can keep that away from people is to limit their searches through various search engines, whether it's Yahoo or Google or whatever, that, or to keep our videos from showing up in subscribers list, or not being able to find them through searches, through YouTube, whatever. You know, that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that they are doing everything within their power to silence our voice because they know they're losing.
I don't think they're losing. I think they're winning, because they are silencing our voice. And I look at it, I mean, my best analogy for this is it's the boot that Orwell described that's getting closer to pressing our collective face into the ground for eternity. You know, that they're not losing. I mean, they'll lose eventually when they start a nuclear war with Russia and China, and everyone loses. We're in a situation now where we don't have any control over this government, because the people who are running it are not elected.
Well,
I mean, the idea of an election in the U.S. is a joke. There's no free choice in this country.
So you don't think we're making any headway?
No. It's getting worse. Are you kidding? Look how quickly the deep state co-opted Trump.
Yeah, they've got him wrapped up pretty tight.
He was at least anti-deep state when Obama got in there. He was complicit. He was one of their pawns to begin with.
Well, I have to give him credit. He did send a small group of people. I think there was about 4 people that he sent to the Belt and Road Forum that just happened in China, that Jeff Brown and I just reported on a couple days ago. And that was completely unannounced. And the whole Belt and Road Forum, the whole Belt Road Initiative, that whole thing.
Yeah, they're sending people over there because Caterpillar and Halliburton want to get involved. They see a profit-making opportunity. You know, that's all about. I mean, these are, you know, you're talking about Halliburton and Caterpillar and IBM. I mean, these are multinational corporations. They're not American corporations. They do what's best for them. I mean, that's what the TTP or whatever the heck it was called. That's what that treaty was all about. That was to elevate these multinational corporations above any sovereign law.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not like Trump, you know, sending representatives over saying, "Hey, man, you know, we want to cooperate. We want to play ball." No, it's these multinational corporations going over there saying, "How can we get involved so we can make a lot of money as well? Because we make so much money off the U.S. government. Can we try and do it off of your government?"
Not sure that they're going to be welcome.
I don't know. Who knows? You know, I've just learned to become emotionally detached to this and not overanalyze it and not analyze it in a way that I hope that it turns out. I just, you know, at this point, it's whatever happens, happens. I mean, if you had told me when I was in high school that our choice for president was going to be someone like Donald Trump and someone like Hillary Clinton, I would have said you're insane. Well, as it turns out, it was insane not to think it could happen.
Well, and speaking of insanity, what do you think's going on with gold and silver? I mean, that there was that massive leg down in silver yesterday, and there was kind of a not as pronounced, but a leg down in gold yesterday. They both have recovered somewhat today, but what's your theory on that, Dave?
Well, I posted that interview you did with Bill Murphy this morning. And in terms of silver, the banks, the COMEX banks, and the central banks in the West have painted themselves into a corner, and that's why they're throwing so much paper at it. They're basically doing what they can right now to keep a lid on the price of gold and silver, and they're having trouble. We don't know what the real demand for silver is globally because those numbers are never made visible. You know, you get estimates. But gold, I get the numbers that are reported by the various countries every day in the John Brimlow report, and China and India are importing an enormous amount of gold right now. And so I think both. I have a feeling that the situation in silver is even worse, and that's why they're throwing so much paper at it. I mean, the amount of paper they're throwing at silver right now is unbelievable. And if it wouldn't even take 5% of the long side in the silver market to stand for delivery to cause a default. So that's what I think's going on there. I mean, I know those spike downs you were talking about yesterday, they happened at, I believe it was 11:05 Eastern time. And at the same time, the S&P spiked up by probably about 6 to 10 points. I forget what the exact number was. But you had a spike up in the S&P and a simultaneous spike down in gold and silver, and it was clearly some sort of intervention taking place.
Yeah, I would say that something happened with silver because in about a half an hour it dropped, 20, 25 cents, something like that. I mean, it just went straight down.
Oh, there's no question in my mind that there's direct intervention going right now. They just need to, all they got to do is toss a payload of silver contracts or gold contracts into the COMEX trading system, both on the floor, because this spike up or the spike down in the metals happened right before, about 20 minutes before the COMEX closed, or 25 minutes, the floor trading. No, I'm sorry. It happened, well, it was in the middle of the COMEX floor trading day.
Yes.
So, they'll dump paper on the floor and into the Globex computer system, and it causes hedge funds with stop losses to puke out their paper longs, and that's what's going on. And we saw that in the last Commitment of Traders report. The hedge funds puked out their long side, and they piled into the short side. So I'm not even necessarily sure this is the banks shorting more paper. The banks actually took on some longs per the last caught, and they may be unloading those longs now rather than shorting. Because I think they're in a situation now where they got to be careful about how net short they get in both gold and silver.
That's what Bill was saying, is that it's almost impossible for the bullion banks to go short. They almost have to go long at this point. And I mean, I was talking to him about Ted Butler's article and the way that Ted Butler spelled it out. I mean, it was just like, oh my God. I mean, and you're confirming that with what you're saying about the COT report. I mean, where do they go from here? How do they get out of this?
I don't know how this end game plays out. I don't think they do either, and that's why I think it just ultimately ends up in a war.
I mean, it kind of seems like we're getting closer to that point every single day. I mean, with the way that these guys, just the relentless attacks on Trump, and those attacks seem to be getting more pronounced every day. But I loved what Trump said yesterday, as far as this is the greatest witch hunt in American political history. As far as
it's just another case of this fake news, alternative facts scenario all of a sudden being turned into the quote unquote truth. I mean, this idea that Russia rigged, conspired to rig our election. It's amazing how many people are willing to believe that story with no evidence whatsoever.
None.
And yet everything that we talk about where we can actually produce at least circumstantial evidence, that's conspiracy theory.
Right.
And it's just, again, I revert back to Orwell, because essentially what's happened here is lies have become the truth and truth have become lies. And that's where we are.
It's unfortunate.
And I hate to say it, but the population is losing. And we're losing it. We're losing it by choice. I mean, people are just too lazy to go and figure out the truth. They want their alternative facts spoon fed to them by Fox News and CNN and MSNBC, the New York Times. Hey, if it's in the New York Times, it's got to be true. But if it's in some alternative media blog, it's conspiracy theory.
Right.
That's where we are. It's a shame.
It is a shame. It is a crying shame.
I came across a great quote from Ben Franklin yesterday.
All right.
And this was way back, late 1700s, and he was being questioned by someone in Congress, and the person said, "Is this a republic or a monarchy?" And he said, "It's a republic if you can hold on to it." And we have failed to hold on to it.
That's it. We have failed to hold on to it. Our once proud nation is nothing but a cesspool of corruption and criminal elite. Well, that's a pretty happy note to end on, don't you think, Dave?
It's wonderful.
Oh, well, the truth is ugly. That's why lies are so easy to swallow.
And that's why people would rather ignore the truth.
You got anything else on your mind, Dave?
That's about it. I got the weekend on my mind.
Well, I guess we'll pick it up on Tuesday and see where we stand. What do you think?
That sounds good to me.
All right, buddy. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. You too.